We're here today at New Straitsville, Ohio, and we are coming here to see Robinson's Cave. Robinson's Cave is the place where the United Mine Workers of America were founded. So just sit back and enjoy the video. I've got a couple visitors with me. My cousin Rick Baxter from New Carlisle, Ohio, and my wife Mary. And this is the historical marker for Robinson's Cave. I'll get some footage of this, and if you want to read the marker, you can just stop it and read the marker. The history of this is that back in the 1860s, there was a labor organization called the Knights of Labor. And one of the residents here in New Straitsville, Christopher Evans, he was a well-known union organizer. And so the Knights of Labor and another group called the National Federation of Miners and Mine Laborers actually came together and formed the United Mine Workers. They originally had worked basically in, they were kind of had a rivalry trying to get members, but they decided to finally come together because they realized they should be working together against the coal mine companies rather than working against each other. So in 1886, the Knights of Labor founded the National District Assembly number 135. And it was a rival with the National Federation of Miners and Mine Laborers. And oddly, both of their headquarters were located right here in New Straitsville. But finally, they come together here in this cave and had a meeting here and basically plotted their steps to fight the coal mine companies, because there was a miner that died in 1889, and the feuding miners came together in this cave and reconciled their differences and formed one big union, the United Mine Workers of America. So behind me is Robinson Cave. I'll pan around here. So in 1889, after there had been some issues with the miner dying and things, these rival labor union factions came together and met here and decided to form a strong union and a national union. And so in November or December of 1889, they had their last meeting here, and then in January of 1890, they met in Columbus, Ohio, and that's where they officially adopted the name of the sorry about my language here, the United Mine Workers of America. One of the things that sparked the labor movement here was in 1884, the coal miners had bad working conditions, and of course, you've heard the old song, I owe my soul to the company store. Well, the coal mine companies owned the housing, they owned the stores, and they paid you in coal mine script or company money. So they didn't even pay you in real US dollars. And so when you went to the grocery store, you had to go to the coal mine store because you didn't have any real US currency to spend. And so the working conditions were terrible, and there were miners dying in the mines, and so they went on strike in 1884. Well, the companies, the surrounding coal companies, they brought in scab workers to work in the mines and to try to break the strike. Some of the early scab workers they brought in, or that they were trying to break the strike with, were immigrants from Ireland and Italy and different places. And so what they did is they when those replacement miners or scab miners came in, they saw what was happening, and they decided to join forces with the other miners, and they quit. So another company brought in some black laborers out of North Carolina, and a lot of those black laborers lived in a little town close to here called Rendville. And the company that owned that was owned by a man named, his last name was Rend. And so they named the town Rendville, and it was mainly black coal miners and their families. Well, sometime in 1884, they decided that they were going to try to break the coal mine company of bringing in scabs. So they loaded up an ore cart full of broken timbers, and they set it on fire, and they pushed that ore cart down into the coal mine. And what has not been told, and this may be the very first video that actually tells this fact, is that inside that coal mine was a whole crew of black laborers. And so the ore cart was pushed into the mine, the mouth of the mine was sealed off, and the black coal miners died in that mine. They would have never been recovered. Their bodies would have been totally consumed by the fire. The heat that was generated from this mine fire when it set that coal mine on fire was so intense that any human remains down there would be long, long gone. Back in the 1930s, this mine fire was burning so hot that the Ripley's, believe it or not, sent a crew here and filmed about the coal mine fire. A national journalist and news reporter, radio reporter, named Ernie Pyle. Ernie Pyle has a lot of fame because he reported on the war during World War II. He was a war reporter. And but Ernie Pyle came here, and he did an episode about the New Straitsville fire, coal mine fire. And they showed pictures of some of the locals. There's one lady had a well, and that well, the water in her well was boiling hot. So she would make coffee by just dipping a bucket into the well and pulling out the hot water already ready to make her coffee. And then other people, they would find fissures or openings in the ground where the fire had vented itself up through the ground, and they would set a frying pan over top of that and fry eggs over it. This coal mine fire was terribly hot. Over the last century, it has died down some, but it is actually believed that this mine fire is still burning way down in the lower recesses of the earth here near New Straitsville and the little town of Shawnee that we will be visiting here in a minute. So this is a very interesting place, a very historic place. I have a feeling of closeness to this place because my father was a United Mine Worker staff representative when he first started his career, and he was a union president at the Meade Paper Mill in Chillicothe, Ohio, and their union was District 50 of the United Mine Workers. He left the the Mead paper mill. He left that, and he went to became a staff rep for the United Mine Workers in 1965. So from 1965 up to about 1972, somewhere in there, he was a staff rep for the United Mine Workers District 50, and then they actually changed their name, that particular offshoot of the mine workers, and they became the Allied Technical Workers, and then they eventually merged with the United Steelworkers, and the United Steelworkers is still in existence today, representing workers and laborers all over the United States. Okay, we are here at what is the trailhead to where the mine shaft, one of 9 mine shafts, was set on fire. This here is what's called the number 3 mine, and up ahead there is a pond. It's a little blurry here, but sorry about that. But there's a focus in there, but up there you can see the where that grass, that brown-looking grass up there is the bank to a pond that the High Department of Natural Resources came in and reclaimed that hollow up in there because the mine fire had burned it and made it so nasty, and they actually built a pond there. Up here on the hillside, right there is the remnants of an abutment to a railroad bridge of some kind, of some sort. On farther up, it looks like there's more stuff up there. But anyway, this is the location where the hill and the hollow where the mine was located. And right up here is a historical plaque talking about the world's greatest mine fire. One of the local residents told me, I was just talking to him a little bit ago, and he told me that this mine fire actually broke out and caught a hillside on fire about 7 or 8 years ago. So the mine is still on fire, and you can pause the video and read that. And I'll go around here and show you the other side. But this is the other side tells the story of the world's greatest mine fire. And so this is history that is well worth remembering. And the labor movement that started here definitely changed our world. I was talking to a lady that works at the municipal building here in New Straitsville, and she also told me that she was giving me some local history, but she says that, and she agreed with me when I told her my feelings, if it wasn't for the labor movement that started here in New Straitsville, our world would be a totally different world. I'm telling you, we would not have a middle class in the United States of America if it wasn't for the labor movement. And because of the labor movement, the middle class was built, and the middle class built America. And this little town here in eastern Ohio, in Perry County, has played a huge part in the growth of our nation. We can talk about Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie bought the pipe organ that's in the Methodist Church here in New Straitsville. And we can talk about the Rockefellers and all these men, and the History Channel run their series, The Men Who Built America. But let me tell you something, at the end of the day, the laborers, the people who done the work, who broke their backs, and they got the calluses on their hands. They built America. And this is history worth remembering.